Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty fascinating journey. We're going to look at how the deep, rigorous fundamentals of academic computer science actually translate into one of the most critical, yet surprisingly human-centric skills in system design: requirements elicitation. Seriously, if you've ever wondered why perfectly coded software sometimes just completely misses the mark for the user, well, this is exactly where you'll find the answer.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 1. Building an IT professional. 2. The art of elicitation. 3. Brainstorming and workshops. 4. Interviews and surveys. 5. Analyzing documents and interfaces. And finally, 6. Ensuring project success. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Building an IT professional.
Okay, let's set the stage by looking at the foundational training of a modern software engineer. To really grasp the immense technical knowledge developers bring to the table before they even write their first line of professional code, let's take a look at a rigorous academic program. Specifically, the 5-year Integrated Master in Computer Application at North Maharashtra University. This is a prime example of a program that builds a highly technical career in IT. It's built on a semester pattern, combining heavy internal and external assessments to forge some incredibly competent professionals.
A syllabus builds aggressively across 10 semesters. Students move from discrete math and basic data structures in year 1 all the way to cloud computing and artificial intelligence by year 4. And by year 5, they're tackling natural language processing and wrapping the whole thing up with a full-time industrial training semester. It's an intense, theory-heavy, highly technical education for sure.
Section 2. The art of elicitation.
Now here is what's really interesting about this transition to the industry. All of that coding knowledge, the math, the AI, the cloud computing, it's pretty much useless if you don't know what you're actually supposed to build. People throw around the phrase, gathering requirements, a lot. But think about it. Gathering requirements is kind of like a waiter taking orders at a restaurant. It assumes the customer already knows exactly what they want, and you're just writing it down. But in the real world, stakeholders rarely know exactly what they need. Elicitation, on the other hand, is active. It's about asking valid questions, establishing expectations, and discovering those hidden system constraints. You aren't just an order taker, you're an investigator. So the crucial takeaway here is that requirement elicitation is a highly active, human-centric process of discovery. We're figuring out not just what a system is currently doing, but what it should be doing in the future. It's all about interacting, observing, and pulling out those nuanced needs that a stakeholder might not even realize they have yet. To pull this off correctly, professionals follow an essential step-by-step checklist, because you can't just walk into a room and start firing off random questions, right? First, you identify the right stakeholders. Then, you clearly define your objectives before you plan and conduct the actual elicitation sessions. After you uncover those hidden needs, you've got to analyze and prioritize them, and finally, validate and document the whole thing. This structured approach is literally what ensures success.
Section 3. Brainstorming and workshops. So let's move to the practical tools used out in the field and see how to build up your toolkit. We'll start with a classic, brainstorming. Invented way back in 1953 by advertising executive Alex Osborne, it's a creative approach used to quickly generate as many ideas as possible from a group. Whether you're at the very beginning of a project, trying to nail down the scope, or stuck in the middle trying to solve a major roadblock, brainstorming just gets those ideas flowing fast.
And it can take several forms, It can be individual, totally open, or highly structured, where you go around the room one by one. It's fantastic because it promotes equal participation without bias. But the major drawback? Ideas aren't always fully explored in the room, and their meanings can end up being a bit ambiguous. So the best practice here? Always establish ground rules, like no dismissing ideas, and assign clear roles. You need a timekeeper, a scribe, and a facilitator.
Now, for a much deeper dive, analysts use formal requirement workshops. These actually trace their roots back to something called Joint Application Design, or JAD. Unlike a free-flowing brainstorm, a requirement workshop is a highly planned event. You're bringing together carefully selected stakeholders, usually the decision-makers and subject matter experts, to actively refine, prioritize, and debate the needs of the system. To run these effectively, you want to target right around 8 to 12 key people. Any more than that and the meeting derails, any less and you're missing out on diverse perspectives. A huge tip here, use highly visual models. Get some sticky notes on a whiteboard or draw out Venn diagrams. A picture truly is worth 1,000 words when you're trying to align stakeholders. And always remember, as the analyst, you have to actively address and call out conflicting requirements right there in the room. Again, you're an analyst, not an order taker.
Section 4. Interviews and Surveys.
If group settings just aren't giving you the nuanced details you need, we pivot to more personalized techniques. One-on-one sessions are incredibly powerful. Personal interviews let you ask scripted and exploratory questions to really clarify needs. Then there's job shadowing, which is brilliant. You literally observe a user in their everyday workday environment. Customer site visits help you understand operational prerequisites, and task analysis involves having the end user walk you step by step through their current job tasks. All of these let you pick up on nonverbal behaviors and truly see the system from their perspective.
And that brings us to this gem. If you could wave your magic wand and make it different, what would the process look like? Asking an open-ended, non-judgmental question like this magic wand scenario is a game changer. It helps break the stakeholder free from their current constraints. So often, users are just so bogged down by how things currently work that they can't even imagine a better way. This question unlocks their true needs.
Here is a massive, absolute best practice tip. Always match the pace of your interviewee. If they're cautious and thoughtful, slow your speech down. If they are totally stressed and in a hurry, speak quickly and get straight to the point. Matching their pace builds instant rapport and ensures a much more accurate flow of information.
But what happens when your stakeholders are spread out geographically? Interviews don't really scale well. That's where surveys come in. You've got to balance your approach, though. Open-ended surveys allow folks to use their own words, giving you rich qualitative data. But man, they are very time-consuming to interpret. Closed-ended surveys, on the other hand, give you a finite set of answers. They are great for quick statistical analysis, but you run the risk of backing the user into a corner with leading questions. The key is finding the right mix.
Section 5. Analyzing documents and interfaces.
Beyond directly asking people, a really astute analyst also looks at the artifacts they leave behind. Document review means digging into user guides, technical documentation, and crucially, the lessons learned from prior system implementations. The big pro? It gives you a concrete starting point before you even speak to a stakeholder. The con? Those existing documents might be wildly out of date. Because of that, a great best practice is to set strict, self-imposed time limits for your review so you don't get lost in a sea of obsolete paperwork.
This naturally leads into interface analysis. And we aren't just talking about a user interface on a screen here. This is about reviewing the system, people, and process linkages to determine exactly what inputs are needed, what outputs are expected, and the medium they travel through. Doing this ensures no critical processes slip through the cracks.
Section 6. Ensuring project success.
So let's tie this whole thing together. We've seen the intensely technical background required in modern computer science, and we've explored the deeply human techniques needed to figure out what to actually build. Bridging the gap between 5 years of technical theory and the human-centric art of requirement solicitation is the real formula for project success. All that machine learning and cloud computing, it only works when you combine it with the messy, human art of uncovering exactly what your users need.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Knowing what we know now about the massive difference between just gathering orders and actively eliciting requirements, if eliciting requirements is the absolute foundation of every successful system, are we spending enough time listening before we start coding? Think about that on your next project. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.